Get ready with me as I talk about the most rewarding classes that I've taken at Harvard. Okay, class number 1 is all the way back, going back to freshman year. This class called Expos 20. It's a required class for all freshmen. Basically, it stands for expository writing, and all freshmen are required to take it because it's like building your basic level essay writing skills. And you guys know, I love writing, I love reading. And within, like, even though all freshmen have to take it, you can choose if you want to take it fall or spring semester, plus, like, there's different subtopics. So I chose the subtopic called More Than a Game because, I don't know, I was, like, interested in writing and researching about sports. So in this class, you basically write 3 essays, and it all culminates in this final paper that is basically, like, you can write any topic, except it just needs to be relevant to, like, the Olympic stage. So I talked about sexual abuse on the Olympic stage, and that was just, like, a very, very meaningful topic to me. Obviously, I talked about the whole gymnast situation with Larry Nassar, but it was also, like, being a freshman, I didn't know the power of Harvard's name, like, of having a Harvard email address. Reached out, like, cold emailed so many different Olympians, and I got responses back, and I was shocked. Like, when I tell you, I got in contact with Simone Biles, like, and the real ones know I was a really competitive swimmer throughout my entire life, and I got to interview this Olympic swimmer for my paper, and, like, include her quotes in my paper after I had done, like, third-party research, obviously on, like, articles and whatever about what happened to her, which was so unfortunate, but, like, getting to hear from her directly about her experiences and what she wishes other people, like, the general public, knew about how sexual abuse can become so, I guess, like, how athletes can be more susceptible to it because it's like you're on this arena and your only goal is to win, and it's very difficult to report somebody because you don't want to sacrifice things and whatever. Like, I just dug so much into the psychology of these, like, crazy athletes' minds and how that all works. And it was so cool for me to be able to, like, read about a situation and get to hear from the athletes themselves. So that was just, like, phenomenal writing class. So just, like, as a freshman, like, my first class that I took at Harvard, getting to interview Olympic athletes, like, that led me down this whole, like, oh my god, like, maybe I can be a sports journalist. But it also really conceptualized, obviously, the power of the Harvard name in terms of, like, cold emails and, like, the amount of people who will respond to you because they see that at college.harvard.edu. Okay, I did my eyeliner off camera because I can never focus when I do it on camera. And I also don't know what's going on with my hair, but whatever. Okay, second class is called Expos 40. It's about public speaking. And I know what you guys are going to say, because my parents thought the same thing. They were like, why are you using the Harvard tuition money that we paid on a public speaking class? But to be fair, like, I was taking a bunch of really hard classes that semester, like stats and metrics and, like, whatever. So I wanted, like, an easier class. And also, guys, I was horrible at public speaking. Like, I would shit myself every time I had to go speak. And naturally, like, as a nonprofit leader, as somebody who, like, wants to be giving book tours and, like, conferences, like, whatever, like, you can't have that. So that was a skill that I kind of, like, needed to work on. And I'm so bad at, like, allocating time for things if I don't have, like, a set, like, routine, like a class, you know, like, forcing me to do it. So obviously I knew that I could have just, like, practiced speaking and, like, recorded myself and, like, gotten better that way maybe, but I just am really bad at optimizing deadlines and things like that. So I took this class and it was phenomenal. Like, it was obviously very much a class where you get what you put into it. So it also has, like, 3 main speeches throughout the class, and my final one, there's, like, speech to teach, like, speech to take an action, like, so you can practice, like, persuasive speaking, like, storytelling, things like that. And throughout the class, my professor would also do, like, improv exercises, like cold calling, like, so you had prepared speeches and also improv ones, and that just made me so much more comfortable, like, actually standing on a stage, and also, like, getting a professional, I guess, to, like, help me with, like, the intonation of my voice, the pacing, like, where I should insert more stats versus more emotional storytelling. Like, that was just so helpful for me, and really, I think, improved my skills as a speaker. And so much so that in February, I literally gave a TED Talk. I mean, like, as somebody who genuinely could not speak on a stage or to multiple people in person, that was just like, I was so proud of myself for that growth. And my professor, he really liked my final speech, and he actually encouraged me to apply for things like TEDx. And that's kind of what got me into the whole, like, I really want to push myself. I want to be able to speak on a stage like this at this level. I want to challenge myself. And he helped me like write my idea, like film my pitch videos. It was a really, really long process to even like be able to get accepted to speak on a stage like that. And then I was flown out to California to give a talk, and that was just like life-changing. This is my talk if you guys want to go watch. And y'all know I'm all about youth empowerment, and this was like a topic that I was so passionate about. I believe that like that's what true education should be. So it's something that like what I took from the class I'll use forever in my life. Also with my book that just came out, like I genuinely credit that class and that professor for why I've been able to like land speaking opportunities at like Exeter, and like I'm speaking at FBLC in Canada, like getting my flights, hotel paid for, like speaking to 2,300 students. Like I have never spoken on a stage with that many people, and I never thought I'd be able to. And then number 3, I took a class called The Economics of Development and Global Health. So as you can imagine, it's about global health and like the econ behind all of that. And I mean, I am so passionate about this topic, and I naturally wrote about childhood cancer. And so my final paper was like this 20-page paper on childhood cancer stigma, and I got to interview patients that were in my nonprofits network and just general childhood cancer patients like throughout the world. And basically, I learned so much about the damaging effects of cancer on patients' mental health, especially because they were in that like prime adolescent stage where they cared so much obviously about their peers' opinions. Like both how like cancer, the physical effects of like surgical scars, of losing weight, like losing hair, all of that affects them, but also like they're more tired, like they're more fatigued, nauseous, and so they get excluded and bullied all the time. And that's something that's not really researched or talked about, and getting to like realize that in my paper, that informed my nonprofit's like patient interaction service program. So we literally created and redid our entire service program based on the research that I did from that class and from that paper. And I pitched like my research paper to St. Jude's, and now I'm working as a researcher to help with creating like education modules and like an actual research study on what I researched in that class, which is so cool. So definitely my favorite classes like give me the ability to like apply what I learn and do some kind of like independent research paper or project or whatever, where I can like extend my learnings into actually creating real world impact. Okay, bye guys, love you.